The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shades thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yes, now, there we go. Yeah. Yep. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is February 28th. And today is National Skip the Straw Day. I'm definitely not participating in that. What do you guys think about that?
I always skip the straw.
You always skip the straw? Really?
Yeah, I take it out of every drink and throw it away. I think they're stupid.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, the straws are a ploy to get you to just drink more, man. Drink more faster.
Yeah. This, they work.
Yeah. So, if you're looking for the journey and not the destination, the destination and not the journey.
Oh, I see. Straws. I see what you did there.
You know what I'm saying?
I see what you did there.
Get there quick. Keep that straw in there.
I see what you did there.
Right.
I like the. I'm a straw. I prefer the straw.
You're a straw man.
Yeah, it's just cute. I see what saw what you did there. Saw what you did there, Rico.
Yeah, that's why you argue the way you do.
Hey, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. Well, it also, Rico, you're gonna love this. Is also National Chocolate Souffle Day.
Why do I love all the things chocolate, Jason?
Just saying.
Sometimes I like vanilla, and, Neapolitan. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, other flavors. Baseball nut.
We got one for little Zozo today.
A chunky monkey. You know what I'm saying?
We got one for Zozo today. Are you ready for this?
What you got? What you got?
It's also National Tooth Fairy Day today.
Oh, she has been bullshitting, so trying to say that my tooth is loose, and telling her slow down. You have no tooth loose, and you ain't even 5 yet.
You might have a tooth
Take
loose,
life
bro.
as it comes, man.
Very well, may have a tooth loose.
Tooth Fairy is the IRS. Remember that, bro.
Oh, easy there. It's also National Floral Design Day. Shout out to all the florists out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
National Public Sleeping Day. I feel like this is like the day for the homeless or something.
You never sleep in public, Jason?
No. I'm always worried someone's going to come and shave my eyebrows off or something.
Oh, because you stay woke, right?
Stop it. Stay awake. That's cute. It's also Rare Disease Day today.
Yeah, man. Be aware of those.
That's just for you, Jason.
Yeah. Fair enough. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, as well as on Kick and on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And we are going to kick it off with the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte, the man who was G'd up from the feet up today, apparently, because it's Friday. That's right. It is the dope dad, Mr. Rico Lamitte.
Oh, yeah, Jason. I got kind of a sad story today. But
oh Oh boy.
Got to deliver. It's just got to deliver the news as it is. And just as you and I were giving the Garden State its flowers earlier this week, how they've been kicking New York's ass in several facets of the game, Jason. It seems that New Jersey, sadly, has become the latest blue state looking to level up on its tough on crime credentials by taking away everyday citizens' freedoms. In an alarming trend, according to Jelani Gibson of New Jersey, or NJ Advanced Media for NJ.com, New Jersey could make simple possession of cannabis a crime again under new legislation advanced by the leaders of its state in an effort that they say would target those buying weed from unlicensed dealers. In a mind-boggling move, Gibson says it is a bipartisan effort led by original architect of the law that legalized cannabis, New Jersey Senate President Nick Scutari, a Democrat, and is co-sponsored by the Senate's Republican leader, Anthony Buccio. So big round of applause for bipartisanship there. It's on the wrong side of things. The bill in consideration, S4154, is aimed at reinforcing the state's regulated market, which operates over 120 dispensaries and would make purchasing cannabis from unlicensed sources a crime, carrying penalties of up to 6 months in jail and fines of up to $1,000. Per the article, it is already illegal in New Jersey to sell cannabis without a license, but people are allowed to possess up to 6 ounces of weed, no questions. The 3-page bill does not specify whether the punishment would be based on the amount of cannabis or how enforcement would be handled. We have a legalized, regulated market for a reason, Scutari said during an interview Tuesday, saying that consumers can buy weed in dispensaries across the state. But Gibson, the article's author, says that New Jersey currently has more than 120 dispensaries, but only 30% of the towns allow them. Sounds a lot like California, right, Jason? Critics argue that the bill could undermine criminal justice reform efforts, disproportionately impact diverse communities, and further burden medical cannabis patients who already face high prices and lack home cultivation rights. Scutari's bill would need to pass the full state Senate and Assembly and be signed by the governor to become law. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy's office declined to comment on the measure. Senate Republicans did not respond to a request for comment, and some Senate Democrats spoke out, saying that they oppose the bill, noting that the state still bans home grow, and it's allowed in most states that legalize weed, and New Jersey needs to focus on that instead of this. Now, the proposal must now pass both legislative chambers and to be signed into law by Governor Murphy. But you know what, guys? This is 1 step forward and 2 steps back for New Jersey legal weed, in my opinion, and another win on the board for the trap, which remains undefeated in all American cannabis categories. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News. What do you guys think?
Man, it's New Jersey, bro. They had such a good thing going. Now all of a sudden they're going to totally screw it up, just like every single other state that's done this.
Right.
Just backpedaling. Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? We're going to legalize weed, and then you know what? Then right when you think about it, we're going to just totally reverse it, make it all illegal again.
This sounds like a way to regulate the hemp industry, that the hemp industry is sort of taken over by being able to sell their products anywhere, and they're trying to force them back into the dispensary.
But it doesn't mention anything about the hemp sales in this bill. Dr. T, how do you come to that conclusion?
You read between the lines. Why is it trying to stop cannabis being sold outside of dispensaries when anybody can enter a dispensary and sell it, because people are selling it outside of dispensaries? And who's the one that would be most allowed to sell it outside of dispensaries? The hemp industry. The hemp industry can sell it anywhere. They can sell it at gas stations.
That's a good point. Yep.
Interesting. What do you think about this, Dr. Mark? You're pretty close to New Jersey out there.
Yeah, well, I think I agree with Dr. T, and I think that, all of this just, goes to support trap market sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trap's going to win. I think we could say that about any time that they try to over-regulate, trap is going to win. You got to remember, there's a lot of wise guys down in New Jersey, too, so maybe there's somehow a wise guy play here. I'm trying to...
Are they really that wise? if they're doing this?
Well, I'm using the term loosely to
Okay, all right.
describe organized crime. Like that.
Yeah, shout out to James Gandolfini. Rest in peace.
Oh boy.
He was just an actor, right?
Yeah, Tony Soprano, man. Yeah.
James Gandolfini was an actor. Actually, he grew up in the town next to where I grew up in northern New Jersey.
Oh, really?
You know, for the longest time, you know, if you're in the north end of New Jersey, you go to New York City, you know, Manhattan, go get your drugs. If you're in South, you'd go to Philly. Yeah. Is this going to somehow snuff out the black market that's existed in New Jersey for years? Probably not.
No, not a chance. Not
Actually
a
going
chance.
to fuel it, don't you think so, Jason?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to send a load out today to New Jersey now just because of this.
Yeah, and prices are up.
Yeah. Oh, man. You have any thoughts on this, Jesse?
Oh, it's just another reminder that regulation without legalization is just prohibition 2.0.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I don't understand why New Jersey would want to take this backpedal. They actually had a good thing going. They have people making money in their market and everything. But maybe someone got in someone's ear. I can tell you that much. But nonetheless, we're going to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll right into our first commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, I left one, you know? And I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where will I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
And we are back, Rico.
Oh, yes, we are, Jason. And up next is the High 9 News head honcho, known for smoking the best weed in the world, the party and partisan himself, the Sultan of Spin, Mr. Jason Beck.
Oh, man.
Yeah, man.
I like that, the Sultan of Spin. That's cute, Rico. That's real cute today. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday, man. It's the end of the week.
Friday, my man.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something, man, because a Florida court rules that employers, you're going to love this, Dr. T, must accommodate off-duty medical marijuana use, you guys. In a landmark decision, a Florida state court has ruled that employers must accommodate off-the-job medical marijuana use, you guys. That's right. The case involved Angelo Giambroni, an emergency medical technician for Hillsborough County Fire Department, who was placed on unpaid administrative leave after testing positive for marijuana during a random drug screening. Despite presenting a valid medical marijuana card, the county refused to accommodate his off-duty use. Giambroni, who uses medical marijuana to manage anxiety, PTSD, and insomnia, filed a lawsuit alleging disability discrimination under the Florida Civil Rights Act. He argued that the county's refusal to accept his state-issued medical marijuana card as justification for the test result violated his rights. The court sided with Giambroni, granting a summary judgment in his favor and affirming that Florida law requires employers to accommodate medical marijuana use outside of work hours. At that. That's a big win right there. 13th Judicial Court Judge Melissa M. Polo rejected the county's argument that federal marijuana prohibition overruled state law protections, and she distinguished the case from a previous Florida ruling where a correctional officer was denied accommodation due to federal firearm restrictions, a factor not relevant to Giambroni's employment. The decision clarifies that while the Florida employers must accommodate off-duty medical marijuana use, they are not required to allow employees to be under the influence at work or possess marijuana on company property. The ruling could prompt Florida employers to revisit drug policies and consider engaging in a disability accommodation process for employees with medical marijuana prescriptions. And Hillsborough County has appealed this decision. Of course they did, leaving the final outcome uncertain. But for now, the case marks a win for the medical marijuana patients in the great state of Florida. Well, great job, guys. This is great news that these employers are going to have to accommodate your cannabis use if you're a medical patient in the great state of Florida. And, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. And we got the doctors on today, and this is a big win. What do you think, Dr. T?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, why would you not be able to use it when you're not at work? As long as you don't come in with slowed reaction time or any issues like that after use. Just like alcohol should not be a problem.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. As long as you can wake up in the morning and function, you should be able to do what you want to do.
Oh yeah.
Some people, they need that just to function.
Lately, I've been feeling that intoxication is not the word for THC, and which means that possibly some people should be able to use it at work too. But
I'm all for using it at work. I'm a big supporter of that.
Well, definitely cannabis dispensary staff are using it at work.
Yeah, even if they're not allowed to smoke on site.
Aren't there insurance considerations there though? Like, I don't know all the laws, but I mean, on-site consumption, I always thought insurance companies have to basically underwrite, especially if someone were to get hurt in that kind of situation. Is that ultimately the biggest concern?
I think that's a big concern for insurance companies. I think
it's a concern if you have an insurance policy, but they say, oh, there's on-site consumption, you don't have an insurance policy anymore, right? Or
yeah, but here's the thing: is that all the states don't allow you to consume on site, so it forces everyone to have to, everyone's doing it, even though they're not admitting that they're doing it, Dr. Mark. You know what I mean? People are out walking in the back of the alleyway, and going on their smoke break and whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop, and you know what I mean? I mean, California law allows you, to be able to have one beer during your lunch hour, you know what I mean? So what's the big deal?
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, that's a real thing.
Well, I mean, if you eat out at all, every single meal you've ever had at any restaurant was made by somebody who was really, really stoned, even at a very fine eating establishment. So when you get that really beautiful steak, just know that dude's stoned out of his mind.
Or he's really, really high on cocaine.
Probably both.
Working back-to-back shifts.
Very much so. Very much so. Steve says, if someone gets hurt at work and the employee is intoxicated, the insurance company had a loophole not to pay, and they will most likely raise rates. Yeah, that part is true. That part is true. If someone does have an instance at work, but in dispensaries, there's not a lot of things to hurt yourself with. You know what I mean? Everything, the biggest thing you're going to have is like when inventory comes in and you have boxes or whatnot of inventory or something and you're stacking it. That's probably the most time that you're going to possibly hurt yourself in a dispensary. You're not going to pull a muscle, pushing buttons on your POS system.
Well, Dr. T has a point too, that I think there is something that we never talk about, which is you can get better at doing things while high. I know that the first time I smoked weed, I probably couldn't do a lot of things very well. But then as I continued to do it, especially with music, I'm a musician. So the first time I tried to get on stage high on cannabis wasn't that great. But the 1,000th time, I was actually better at it than if I didn't smoke. And you can't really do that with alcohol. And so that definition of intoxication is really important. It's not intoxicating in the same sense as we think of as alcohol. When you're a certain level of drunk, you can't function no matter how long you've practiced.
I'm glad you're joining the.
I'm an alcoholic, so.
What's that, Dr. T?
I was saying I'm glad we're trying to ban that word intoxicating cannabis. I think it's an assumption that we've got to push back on. Prove to me that it's intoxicating. I see people prove they're become more creative. Basketball players become more creative with it. So it's not intoxicating. It's not decreasing your mental or physical ability completely. It's got to be more specific.
So should we just call it? Should we call it an enlightenment then, Dr. T?
That's a great word. That word was actually used in India, describing the plant as causing the bush of personal enlightenment. What it's translated to
Look
be.
Look at that. The bush of personal enlightenment.
I'll use that term with my wife this weekend.
Yeah, I bet. Well, that's
the other thing. Who said that?
What's that, Jesse?
Emid said you can't get higher smoking. That's the other thing we don't talk about. Like you can keep smoking and keep smoking and keep smoking. You're not getting higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. You're going to reach a level where you're just going to maintain that. And then I think we've all had that experience too, where you smoke yourself sober. You smoke enough weed where you just feel like, am I even high anymore? And these are all interesting things that we just don't account for.
Absolutely. Most dose effect curves are biphasic. They're not constantly increasing for any effect of cannabis. It's receptor mediated. And so after a time, there's a shutoff mechanism for receptors. So the more you use doesn't necessarily mean that you get higher.
Fair enough. All right. Well, on that, we are going to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll right into Dr. Gene Talleyrand. He's the founder of the CESC and of Medican, where you can get your doctor's recommendations. He's been writing recommendations so long that he probably wrote your grandparents and possibly even your parents' recommendation, if they had one. That's right. It is none other than the doctor with the most, Miss Dr. Gene Talleyrand.
Dr. T.
Thanks, Jason. I have actually written parents and kids and grandparents. Anyway, happy Friday, everyone. Study finds cannabis is a cost-effective alternative for PTSD. This is by Rachel Bairstow, and this is published by Leafwell. A new study sponsored by Leafwell proposes cannabis pills, oral solutions, and other edibles are cost-effective therapy for post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD is a debilitating mental health condition. Traditional treatments, including antidepressants and antipsychotics, often leave patients unsatisfied. This is due to limited effectiveness, significant side effects, and high treatment costs. Medical cannabis is a lower cost alternative therapy for PTSD. However, no previous studies have considered whether cannabis can reduce the costs of PTSD treatment. The researchers used pricing data from a multi-state operator and data from standard treatments to perform standard PTSD treatments to perform a cost-utility analysis. The study's authors compared the relative costs and benefits of traditional treatment for moderate PTSD or to traditional treatment for moderate PTSD plus medical cannabis. They looked at situations where health insurance payers covered 100%, 75%, 50%, and 25% of the total yearly costs of medical cannabis. To determine cost effectiveness, they used a commonly accepted willingness to pay threshold for U.S. insurance companies. This threshold marks when an insurer is typically willing to pay for something based on its cost versus benefit. Cannabis edibles, oral solutions, and pills were found to be highly cost-effective. Flower, which is often more expensive than other products, was only cost-effective when insurance covered 50% of high-cost cannabis and 75% of low-cost cannabis. Overall, these findings suggest that traditional PTSD treatment plus medical cannabis was less costly than traditional treatment alone. As such, While health insurance providers don't currently cover medical cannabis, they may want to consider it. If insurance providers were to cover medical cannabis, more people with PTSD may be able to afford it while reducing healthcare costs in other areas. This offers financial benefits to both patients and insurance providers. This study is a crucial step in demonstrating the economic and therapeutic value of medical cannabis in mental health care, stated Dr. Doucette, the lead author. Additional high-quality clinical trials and real-world studies are needed to validate our estimates, refine dosing strategies, and account for potential adverse events, he added. The possibility that medical cannabis could substitute for other PTSD medications, such as antidepressants and benzodiazepines, also warrants deeper investigation, as it may yield further health and economic benefits, he suggested. This study didn't analyze the safety or efficacy of medical cannabis products. The implication is medical cannabis can reduce or replace pharmaceutical drugs and other traditional therapeutic modalities for PTSD. Although MSOs may not have the best quality products, they can sponsor studies like this. We all know that the bottom line matters to insurance companies. Covering the cost of medical cannabis products would also give a big boost to the cannabis industry. So what do you think? Will insurance companies start lobbying Congress for change in federal cannabis laws and begin covering cannabis products? This is Dr. Jean Talleyrand with High at 9 News.
Oh man, that would be great if they did. I don't see them doing that though. Do you think they will, Dr. T? What do you think?
Well, follow the money. Money talks. If it's making them more money, why not start lobbying Congress to allow it? I think this is a way to get them on our side.
Interesting. I just, you know how they usually act is, you know what I mean? There's no money in a cure, and you know what I'm saying? And
Right.
it's about, you know, prolonging the sickness for a lot of these pharmaceutical companies. And, you know, the insurance companies, I feel, are just in bed with the pharmaceutical companies.
It didn't analyze a cure it at all. It only analyzed costs, effectiveness.
I think when the I want to say back in 2017, 2018, when we had all of those U.S. military veterans, they were testifying in Congress. My man Leo Bridgewater, Eric Gopel, all those guys. This is like a major point of that. We seemed that we were making a lot of progress, but whatever happened to that? Like, this is an easy way. Like, think what you will about the current administration, but yeah, run this up to Pete Hegseth, man. See what he thinks about it. Like, see if we can get the more veterans back online. I know that there's a lot of lobbying fatigue from industry operators that are currently have been doing this for years. It's like get no real results from it, but maybe we can try to combine the medical backing that we have now with the veterans, where everybody has off spot for them, and just get this pushed through, man. Lobby the hell out of.
And then we have another ally too, Doug Collins, who's running the VA right now. So that is another ally on our side, on the cannabis side. So.
What does Pete Hegseth think about cannabis? I know he's fond of alcohol.
Oh, I see what you're trying to do there, Rico. See what you're trying to do there.
Oh, is he pro cannabis?
He's about people having the ability to choose what substances they want. I don't know what his position. I haven't had a chance to speak with him in regards, since he has attained his new position, which from that position may have deviated a little bit or whatnot. But I haven't had the chance to talk to him yet. But I will in the near future. But when I do, I'll let you know.
Please do. Please get video of it so we can not call your bullshit on it.
I don't bullshit. That's one thing I don't do. You have any?
Saying you're more of a cow?
What do you mean? Oh yes, you're funny. You have any thoughts on this, Dr. Mark, before we move on?
Well, I don't know if Dr. T agrees, but I heard this the other day and I've been sort of living by it. We need to drop the D in PSTD. It's just post-traumatic stress. There's no disease or disorder or dysfunction about it. It's just post-traumatic stress. I like that. And, you know, certainly, like, you know, in our military, this is something that, you know, when you send people off to war, you're bound to have cases of post-traumatic stress. So I think there needs to be hand in hand the use of cannabis to deal with those issues. And so I think I'd love to see Hegseth come out and say, hey, you know what? We need to basically get the people who suffer from post-traumatic stress cannabis products to control that, because we know that unlike opiates and other things that are prescribed, you know, this works, and they're not going to overdose. They're not going to develop dependencies. And I see Dr. T nodding his head, so I must be saying the right things. But yeah, you know, I mean, it's so obviously there, right, Dr. T, that cannabis is the kind of like miracle way of treating post-traumatic stress. So we really need a Secretary of Defense and a military leadership to embrace that notion and to have the VA pay for these treatments and not it to be the current way it is now, which is that, you know, if they piss hot, they're going to lose their VA benefits.
I totally
Dr. Mark,
agree with that.
Dr. Mark, we had a very insightful comment in the chat there. I wanted to ask you about, are you saying that you're a fan of dropping the D?
Hold on, let me pull up the chat here. So
Dr. Mark's not getting it, bro. It's going over his head, bro. Dr. Mark, yeah,
dropping the D.
Yeah, dropping the D, bro. Dropping the D. You know what I'm saying?
Dropping that. D?
Dropping the D. That's all right. It's all right, Doctor.
Joke?
Yeah. It's just a joke, Dr. Mark. Yeah, it's just.
He took it seriously.
Yeah. Oh,
you know,
man.
we're all 12 here. We're all 12 here.
Yeah,
no.
I bet.
Good thing I'm sitting down, right?
Exactly. Otherwise, he could be dropping the D on you, Rico, and we'll be right back after this next commercial.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
And we are back, you guys. Stop whatever you're doing right there. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highatnightnews.com. My bad.
Are you a business that's suffering from the hyperinflation that is plaguing America today? We have the solution for you. That's right. Patriot Business Financing. Head on over to www.patriotbfc.com and apply for a loan up to $2 million. Any state, any industry, even the cannabis industry, the CBD industry, as well as the industrial hemp fiber industry, secure up to $2 million today, and make sure that when you apply, you tell Paul you said hi from High at 9.
Hello.
Yes, and we are back, you guys.
Yes, we are, Jason. And up next, He might not be a doctor like the other ones on our team, but he is a spin doctor himself, and that helps visionaries build powerful brands. Widely recognized and experienced branding veteran with a penchant for patches and badges and stickers. Isn't that right, Mr. Barney? Coming to the stage next, the ginger captain himself, Jesse Barney. How you doing,
All right,
brother?
Rico? Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All love.
My story comes this morning out of the Marijuana Herald, which I'm loving. That website. I encourage everyone to go visit it. Tons of news every day. This is the headline. The intellectual property of the cannabis brand High Times, including its magazine, Cannabis Cup events, and trademarks, is back on the market. The assets, which also include domain names such as 420.com, photographs, books, calendars, and other media-related materials, are being sold through a court-ordered receivership managed by Green Life Business Group. Bids are open until March 4th, according to a report by MJ Biz Daily. This is at least the third attempt to sell High Times intellectual property since September 2023, when a Canada-based Lucy Scientific Discovery announced plans to acquire it in an all-stock deal. That acquisition never closed, and the assets returned to the market months later under new management. Unlike a prior sale that included marijuana business licenses, this offering consists solely of intellectual property. The absence of licenses may limit interest from potential buyers, as many previous bidders were primarily interested in acquiring operational businesses. Financial experts suggest that the sale could draw minimal competition given the brand's recent struggles. High Times' ongoing operations remain unclear. Its website has been down for over a week. It's literally down right now. And its social media presence has dwindled, with its last Instagram post appearing in mid-January to promote Cannabis Cup judging kits. The most recent known issue of its magazine was published in September of 2024. Records indicate that 2 inactive retail licenses in Oklahoma remain under the High Times dispensary name, while a conditional retail license in New Jersey was pending as of mid-2023. A recent search of state listings did not show any dispensaries currently operating under the High Times brand. So there's a little discrepancy there as to what's really going on. The court-appointed receiver handling the sale had previously overseen assets from other collapsed cannabis companies. Despite ongoing efforts to offload High Times intellectual property, prior attempts have failed to finalize deals, leaving the brand's future uncertain. Bidders have until March 4th to submit offers, but whether the High Times can find a buyer willing to invest in its name without operational assets remains to be seen. Well, here you go, folks. It just goes to show you can build the biggest weed brand in the world, and if you mismanage it, you will be left with pretty much nothing. This it's really a terrible thing in my mind. I know most of us remember when High Times was awesome, and if you go back and look at the very first few issues, the first 5 to 10 issues are unbelievably incredible from an art standpoint, from the photograph standpoint, the layouts. The content in them is just fabulous, and unfortunately, I think that's about all anyone would be buying if they buy this. So I'd love to hear what other people have to say about this.
Well. I mean, these guys have been trying to sell this thing for a while. And they stripped all of the cannabis licenses away from it, just trying to sell the IP. So you're basically, what you're bidding on is the magazine, the website, all of the social media pages and whatnot, and the brand overall IP as far as the branding and graphics and all of those things. And to my understanding, they wanted, a minimum of $5 million for all of that. And I know I've talked to some people, and they all think that that's way too much money to pay for that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's too much money just to buy for IP that's pretty much been completely tarnished and destroyed and has no respect anywhere anymore.
Yeah, well, I think it could easily come back. You know what I mean, and whatnot. I mean, there is some valuable things that I think could be monetized in their asset list. You know what I mean, like the cannabis cups and whatnot. But I happen to agree with Nick is that if their model is selling judges kits to the average everyday whatever, then those people aren't really judges. That's a People's Choice Award and should not be considered that in the same type of a cannabis competition if you're not having actual professional cannabis consumers actually judge it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that somebody with the right amount of vision, if somebody really saw the origination and what the vibe was of the original brand and where it really came from and what they were really all about, if somebody revived it to that, it's possible that High Times could live again. But I don't know that there's anybody in the cannabis industry with the money to do it and the vision.
Yeah, you're right about that. Go ahead, Dr. T.
For those of us who didn't really, I haven't really picked up much of a High Times magazine. What was their brand vision in the early days? Was it a culture thing?
It was a rebels rag. It was a lot like,
it was a counterculture.
It was a lot like, it was a counterculture rag, and it was a lot like the original Rolling Stone, like very far back, where they were talking about how to grow. They were sharing all kinds of recipes. They were talking about all kinds of drugs. It wasn't just cannabis oriented. It was talking about global news and the hippie highway. I mean, there was just so much that was in there that was amazing. And it was right after the Schaefer report came out. So there was a lot of hubbub about what the actual truth around cannabis was. And it was amazing. It was just an incredible journalistic effort. And over the years, I mean, in the 90s, it became more of like a growers magazine, where people would pick it up just to read about how to grow and all the interesting things in there. And then up to the 2000s, it just started to really, really, really drop off. And it became just kind of trash. So it lost its way.
Yeah, it lost, with legalization, I feel like it lost its, it was already losing it prior to legalization. But as soon as legalization hit it, it pretty much tapered out. And then
as a country boy in Virginia, man, that was my only access to anything other than the dirt weed that we had out here. So it was really cool, really awesome for us to get access in the pre-internet days and see that, oh yeah, you actually can grow this. Oh yeah, there actually are people that are knowledgeable about this. And it's cool to see like an actual stoner culture that was diametrically opposed to what we were given, on just the stoner movies. All we knew was Cheech and Chong, and you actually have like scientists and shit, and they're talking about things that we'd never thought we'd ever associate with weed or weed culture. So it is sad indeed to see what they have become, and I hope somebody does scoop up those their actual assets and the debt that comes with them, because those motherfuckers.
No, there's no debt. There's no debt when you purchase out of receivership. There's no debt at all whatsoever.
Who's gonna pay the bills that they owe us?
You're not getting. You're getting screwed. You're getting. Yeah, you ain't getting that. That's chalk that as a loss. You get no commission for that sale, bro.
And can't write shit off either.
No. It seems to me like they needed to pivot from counterculture to mainstream culture, and they weren't able to do it.
Well, I mean. Kind of. I mean, the thing about it, I mean, you got to give High Times a little bit of credit here. I mean, they were the first magazine to sell THCA direct to consumer.
Really?
Well, yeah, they used to be able to buy pounds of weed that all like wouldn't get you high, and you should be able to buy hash that wouldn't get you high, and everything, all from that magazine, all throughout the 80s and 90s, everything.
Really?
Dr. T, yeah. I would highly encourage you and everybody in the audience too. Go back and look at the original 1974 issue, the very first issue. And I'm sure you can find a PDF of it online and just scroll through it and you will see what kind of journalism that it was, and it was really, really incredible. And you would say then, oh, maybe we should have actually kept it like that, and instead of straying towards the mainstream, because it was really a leader. I think if High Times was published in that way today, it would still be a massive leader in plant science, which was a lot of what it was about.
Mm-hmm. That's fair, but you know what the thing about it though too, Jesse, is that people don't go into places and buy magazines anymore. Everything is like all digital and social media based, and so the method of consumption is totally changed. Yeah, the method 100%. Of consumption is totally changed.
The method of publication would change, but the spirit of what they did in the first several issues was just really incredible.
I mean, maybe the most valuable thing they have is their email list. I'm not sure.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know if you get that with the IP.
You get that with IP. Yeah, I've talked to these people. I know exactly what comes with this package.
What would you guys say is the most popular online publication now for cannabis? Marijuana Moment or
High at 9 News, Dr. T. There is none other.
Yeah, I would say probably Marijuana Moment.
It depends on what category you're talking about. I think if you're talking about growers, and growing expertise, you might be talking about like Skunk or
no.
I'm trying to.
No,
think
you know who has the biggest presence out of everyone? And MJ Biz has the biggest presence out of everyone, because they're the only ones that are able to put on a whole convention and get everybody to come out and get all hyped up about going to Vegas. They got everybody's information. They are basically the new High Times.
I mean, there's a simple way
but
to look
again, that's
online.
for the business. So that
it's all the business, bro. It's all the business. It's all the business, though.
I don't think growers are going to MJ Biz for any kind of sharing of information with each other.
100% they do. They all want to buy a ticket and they all want to go to the event. 100%.
Yes, but they're not going there to share information with each other. They're going there to be a part of the industry, which is a very different category.
I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that, because they're going to go there. They're going to go and meet with their friends that they haven't seen from across the country and exchange seeds and and exchange little trap packs and this and that, and that's why they're going there. That's their whole purpose.
Who's an indoor grower, but then you miss all the outdoor growers.
No one cares about the outdoor growers.
In November. Everybody that's in MJ Biz is always, or everybody that's an outdoor grower is always doing harvest during November when MJ Biz happens. So it
actually happens in December.
Best growers in the world.
Happens in December.
It's usually first week in November or the second week.
Doesn't matter. Whatever. I mean, if you're one of the best growers, you're just going to have your employees that over there doing it, and you're going to be at MJ Biz with some of your samples that you throw in the microwave, so then that way they could be dried on time and done. Boom, you're there.
A lot of the best growers are one-man shows, and they have to be there with their plants all the way through to the end.
Oh, you're such a skeptic, Jesse. Such a skeptic.
I just ran this through 3 different AIs, man, and there's no way that this is right. It's still showing High Times as the top online publication for cannabis. There's no way that's right if the website's not up, but it is showing High Times #1. There's a.
I think their website is up right now. It's up.
It's not.
It's just not being. No, it's not up.
Yeah,
it's forward.
Yeah, Journal of Cannabis Research. That's interesting.
Okay.
Is #2. Cannabis World Journals is #3. Green Market Reports #4. Cannabis Business Times 5. And Cannabis Culture Magazine is 6. MJ Biz is #9 on there.
Yeah, and see, Rico, that's my point. All of those are business and industry oriented. Where's the magazine that's talking about culture and talking about growing, and talking about seeds and talking about
There is no more culture in cannabis anymore, Jesse.
Exactly. But there is a #1 magazine that is serving that audience for sure. But they're down the list as far as overall, for sure.
I'd say probably like the biggest cannabis culture online right now is on Snapchat.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Talleyrand.
Any magazine is only as good as the journalists that you have writing articles. And if you look at High Times, the quality is just it's terrible, absolutely terrible. They're just recycling shit that's already out there. They don't have, do you think Playboy would sell any copies if they didn't have quality journalism in there? right? Look
Is
at
that a
the
rhetorical
centerfold,
question?
right?
Yeah.
But
People buy Playboy for the articles now.
What sells a magazine is the content of what's in it. Now,
Yes, usually the content of the centerfold.
I have to retort, Dr. Mark, because Playboy magazine damn near went broke. They damn near went bankrupt when they stopped showing boobs.
Yeah. That part is true. That part is true too.
That's not a very good example, but I guess the point is the quality of what's coming out of that magazine is just terrible. And didn't the leadership of the High Times, weren't they just a bunch of coke fiends?
Oh man,
when they got bought out by the Girls Gone Wild guys, 11 over there. Yes,
we're not going into all of that.
Just ran it into the ground, man.
Yeah, we're going to our next commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Ooh, Jason, you have a conflict of interest there?
No, I have no conflict of interest at all.
Mr.
At all.
Doge.
It's not at all. No conflict of interest at all whatsoever, buddy.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, you know? But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where do I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
That is. Hey, that's fair. Yep. Instagram. Oh,
Instagram,
and we are back, you guys.
All right, y'all, get your blue books ready because this highly recognized New England-based organic chemistry expert always brings a little Functional Friday heat when he is on the mic. Y'all know who it is. The New England truth-seeking, boof-beating Dr. Mark Scialdone.
Thank you, Rico.
Had a little extra funk on that one for you, Dr. Mark.
I like the funk. So we want the funk. So hey, happy Friday, everyone. Hope you guys are having a great day. It's a sunny, beautiful day here in Vermont. Hope it's sunny where you're at, and hope you have some great plans for the weekend that include cannabis. My story today comes from the Marijuana Moment, and it's entitled Montana Senators Weigh Bills to Limit Marijuana to 15% THC and Take Cannabis Revenue from Outdoor Conservation Programs. Take cannabis revenue away from outdoor conservation programs. God. Okay, lawmakers in Montana Senate panel considered two cannabis bills at the hearing on Thursday morning. One that would cap marijuana products to 15% total THC, and another one would adjust where millions of dollars in revenues from legal sales would go. Members of the Senate Business, Labor, and Economics and Affairs Committee took public testimony on both bills, SB 443 and SB 307, respectively. But the panel did not take action on either proposal. A separate measure, which would require Montana adults to obtain a $200 license every year to legally use recreational marijuana, was on the hearing agenda but did not get called for discussion. In response to an inquiry from Marijuana Moment, the bill's sponsor, Greg Hertz, Republican, replied simply, SB 255 hearing was canceled. Interesting, it's not the right number, but oh well. Hertz was also the lead sponsor of the THC potency bill, SB 443, which he introduced earlier in the week. If approved, that measure would set a 15% limit on total THC in all non-medical marijuana products. So I guess when they say non-medical marijuana products, they're just referring to their adult use products, I assume. If it would also clarify that the total THC in multiple forms, including THC itself, including Delta-9 THC, THCA, and THCP. Okay, let me put the brakes on this story right here. THCP is a completely different molecule, folks. Putting that into your total THC number is not only stupid, but it insults my intelligence as a reasonable human being. It's a different freaking molecule. Does not come from the hemp plant, does not come from cannabis. It's a synthetic molecule. All THCP out there on the market today, as we covered in our story last week, is synthetic. Okay? So lumping THCP in there tells you how uninformed these Republicans are. Okay, under the current state marijuana law, which is capped at 35% THC, though other products in the state don't have potency limits, flower in most state adult markets contain roughly between 10 to 30% THC by weight. During public testimony on Thursday, dozens of industry representatives, policy advocates, and individual commenters spoke out against the plan, warning that it would hurt marijuana growers and retailers, cause consumers to smoke more heavily, and likely fuel the illicit market, which we call the trap market on High at 9 News. Karen O'Keefe, the director of state policies for the advocacy group Marijuana Policy Project, told the panel that many consumers, including her husband, use cannabis to improve sleep and manage pain. The bill would require Montanans, I guess that's somebody from Montana, a Montanans, to smoke more cannabis for the same effect, increasing the costs and risks such as bronchitis, she said. It would drive most of the demand to the illicit, or what we call the trap market, where cannabis is sometimes laced with fentanyl. Oh my God, here it is again. Cannabis laced with fentanyl. People, can we finally just stop saying that this is the case? Cannabis has never been found to be laced with fentanyl anywhere. I've never ever seen it in all the work that I've done, and I think that this is just some misconception brewed up by some politicians who want to use scare tactics to scare people away from the so-called illicit or trap market. Some will try to make concentrates at home, resulting in more hazardous extractions, causing explosions, injuries, and deaths. Now that I will agree with, right? We need to have extracts and concentrates available at the dispensary so people don't have to do that at home, right? People who love BHO and people who love concentrates, those products need to be available in the dispensaries, or else they're either going to do it at home, blow themselves up, right, by sending wafts of butane up their fart fan in their bathroom or whatever fan they're using. Remember that fans have a motor, which means there's brushes and there's sparks, and sparks plus butane creates fire, right? But they should have those available in the dispensary because people who consume concentrates want to consume concentrates. It would recklessly push the entire vape market underground. That I agree with. In written testimony, MPP, the Marijuana Policy Project, pointed out that there is no other state that has limits such as low as what Montana proposes, which is that 15%. I've heard opposite. I've heard other states, including like Georgia, can only have a 5% limit. So MPP should be more informed on that than they are. The lowest limit on flower in any state is 30%, while the lowest cap on concentrates, excluding vape cartridges, is 60%. I believe they're referring to the regulation right here in Vermont. I know in Vermont they have a regulation on concentrates that can exceed a little bit over 60, but they can't certainly exceed 70%. Jason Kahander, a marijuana grower, told lawmakers that it has taken him years to grow and develop his genetic library of cannabis varieties, and would indeed need to rebuild if 15% THC becomes the law. Okay, so let's talk about this. So yes, in recent years, humans have bred cannabis to not only taste and have different flavors that people really respond to, whether it's the gassiness of sour diesel or the fruitiness of blueberry. Those varieties have been selected for and bred for, but also to increase the amount of THC in there, not just to increase the potency, but to increase the value. If you're extracting from a 30% plant, you're going to get twice as much as you would from a 15% plant, in theory. So that's why they're breeding for higher THC limits. So again, if you have a THC limit of 15%, but you're growing like 20% flower, it forces you to adulterate your flower, right? With low potency stalks and stems to get down to that 15% limit. Not where we want to be going in today's world of cannabis. I don't currently grow any strains at test under 20%. This is Jackson Kahander again talking. It would be beyond challenging to suddenly switch my genetic library to 15% or lower, he said, adding in typically takes between 12 to 8 months to fully vet a strain before it's determined to be a keeper. When senators asked how long it would take to draw down the library and reduce it to 15%, Kahander's brother, Evan Kahander, said that replacing products could take years. There would be no drawing down the library. The library would be killed and we'd have to start all over again, he explained. There is no way to take a 25% potency plant suddenly and create a 12% potency plant. We'd have to start from scratch. Well, he's not really telling the truth there. All you need to do is mix it with fan leaf or low potency material and take that 25 or 20% just down, because you're adding basically non-potent plant material to it. So, but again, what do these regulators and politicians know? They can basically just be told anything, and I guess they'll believe it. Just beginning to rebuild the team's library, he said, would literally take between 12 to 24 months. Again, I don't know that that's really the issue that we're discussing here, but in an alert to supporters prior to Thursday's committee hearing, the advocacy group Normal said the proposal seeks to fundamentally alter the state voters-approved adult use legalization, echoing warnings cited from other speakers. Prohibiting adults from accessing higher THC products from state licensed retailers will not only eliminate consumers' demand, rather it would encourage consumers to seek out higher potency THC products from the unregulated market, Normal said. It will also move the production of these products exclusively underground. This undermines the primary goal of legalization, which is to provide consumers with safe, above-ground access to testing lab-tested products of known purity, potency, and quality. In the testimony to the panel, the group's director, Paul Armentano, also said that rather than banning these products, regulators should provide the public with better information about the effects of more potent products, and that they should continue to ensure that legal products do not get diverted to the youth market. Ooh, do we have a new market, Jason?
Apparently.
Called the youth market? The fuck is that? Unlike alcohol, his testimony noted, THC is incapable of causing lethal overdose in humans. Total amounts of THC allowed in Montana cannabis products would not change under SB 443. Capsules would still be limited to 100 milligrams per capsule, 800 milligrams per package, tinctures to 800 milligrams, edibles to 100 milligrams per package, and 10 milligrams per serving, transdermal patches and suppositories to 100 milligrams each and 800 milligrams per package. topicals to 6% THC and no more than 800 milligrams per package, and all other products to 800 milligrams. Several commenters pointed out that the bill includes no fiscal analysis, which means lawmakers could overlook revenue losses that might result from the THC cap if it pushes consumers to the illicit market. MPP pointed out in its testimony that Montana took more than $50 million in tax revenue from legal cannabis in 2023. Other speakers took issue with the bill's word slavery. Oh my gosh. In a preamble, what do you think of that, Rico? In a preamble, the measure says that we reject the slavery of addiction that comes from high potency THC and its destructive products, which some commenters called inappropriate. Lawmakers at Thursday's hearing also took public testimony on SB 307 from Tom McElvray, again, also a Republican. That measure would eliminate marijuana tax revenue currently flowing to Fish and Wildlife Management and public spaces, as well as disbursements to a veterans fund and the Montana Board of Crime Control. Instead, more revenue would flow towards the state's general fund as the state's Healing and Ending Addiction Through Recovery Treatment, which is an acronym, HEART Fund. Commenters were divided on the proposal, with some claiming that marijuana tax revenue should logically go towards funding addiction and treatment. Others, however, worried that the effects of taking away money from public lands and wildlife could be detrimental. Last month, a coalition of conservation groups raised concerns about the governor's office and state lawmakers reallocating historic investment in outdoors that cannabis represents in Montana. So I think that's a really interesting thing, to take revenue from cannabis and basically put it into something that, again, all Montanans will benefit from, which is the wonderful and beautiful big sky country of Montana itself. As adult use registration, as for adult use registration bill, meanwhile, that measure, SB 255, which would require adult use consumers to register and pay a $200 annual fee to participate in the legal programs that voters approved in 2020. Okay, let's put the brakes on there. So they want to legalize adult use, but in order to be a legal adult user, you need to buy a license every year for $200 a pop? What are these people thinking? Where else does that happen? It doesn't happen anywhere else because it's a stupid idea. Adults would pay a fee every year to the Cannabis Control Division, which would enroll them in the program and issue ID cards. Who's going to pay $200 to get an issued ID card? They're just going to use that $200 and go and buy some stuff from the trap market. Upon applying for the card, there would be a 60-day period where adults can access marijuana from licensed retailers. But if they don't pay the fee by the end of that window, the division shall cancel their temporary identification card. Sounds stupid. The text of SB 255 states that a marijuana card holder shall keep the individual's marijuana identification card and the individual's immediate possession at all times. The marijuana identification card and valid photo identification must be displayed on demand of law enforcement or justice of the peace or city or municipal judge. The legislation would further amend the current state code to replace language providing for the legal possession and use of limited amounts of marijuana legal for adults 21 years of age or older, with legal marijuana card holders registered legal marijuana card holders and registered card holders. Legalization advocates have also balked at the proposal, noting that Montana would be the first state to require adults to register and pay to use marijuana under an adult use law. I'm not going to read any more of this. I think we all think that this is totally stupid. And Paul Armentrout from Normal says demanding adult consumers to pay for a state issue ID, then requiring it to have the ID under immediate possession at all times, undermines the fundamental freedoms that 57% of Montanans voted for. And I totally agree with that.
Fair enough.
So yeah, having a card issued saying that you can now smoke is just totally ridiculous and stupid. That's my story today from the Marijuana Moment. I'd be interested in what my esteemed colleagues think of this, but I just think this is totally stupid and ridiculous and is dead on arrival.
Well, Jesse is our Montana expert, so Jesse has been following this whole thing. Go ahead, Jesse. I can see the red coming out of your hair.
Yeah, smoke coming out of my ears.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Mark, I really appreciate you bringing up this story. I'm actually working on a High at Nine exclusive with the Beard Bros about this and many other things that are going on in Montana concurrently. So I'll just unveil some of it because you just hit the tip of the iceberg. First of all, this is one of 11 bills that are currently in hearing or subcommittee on the Senate floor in Montana. And everybody needs a little bit of history. So Montana was the 6th or 7th state to go legal in the country in 2004 with a medical program that was really awesome, very similar to Prop 215 in California. And in 2011, the state Senate illegally overturned this because it was a citizens initiative done through petition that made that happen in 2004. And then in 2011, the Senate overturned that citizens initiative illegally, and we fought for 3 years into 2014, or maybe we did it right away. I can't remember how long it took us. It took us a while. And that was when I really dug in my heels with the cannabis industry and got involved because I'd been a cannabis user and I'd been a pipe maker since 97. And so I was passionate about it. But when that overturned happened and I was running a marketing agency, I got really involved with the whole thing. So we did another citizens initiative, which overturned what the Senate did. And we made it legal again and passed a new medical law. And then a few years back, they just passed a recreational law, and that just went into effect a few years back. Now, I have not lived in Montana for 6 years, so I haven't been as in touch. But one of my clients is the Montana State Hemp and Cannabis Festival, whom I love, and they've been a center pillar of the community in Montana and the industry in Montana for a very long time. So it's just really sad because what's actually happening is there's another law where they're basically saying that no cannabis company. First of all, Montana has the most strict advertising laws of any state as far as cannabis. You literally can't have a billboard. You can't have a website. You can have no calls to action anywhere. You can't even really tell people where your address is. It's very, very, very strict. And now they're coming down and saying that you can't even sponsor an event as a cannabis company, which for my clients, the Montana Hemp and Cannabis Festival, you can see how that impacts them. Well, the threat of this law possibly passing and all of these laws possibly passing, all of the sponsors pulled from the Montana Hemp and Cannabis Festival. So they are likely to not make it happen this year because all the sponsors pulled. So
Bummer.
there's too much almost going on. I could not possibly unload it all right now in this few minutes that I have. But Montana is under attack. It needs the entire nation's help. It's a small state. It's been a leader in the cannabis community for a very long time. And I'm proud to say that Montana, as a red state, has been pro-cannabis for a very long time. which is very, very cool. It's very, very unique. And that's one of the things that makes Montanans unique is we're very red-oriented people with very liberal-leaning ideologies, and we're very libertarian. And what's happening there right now is a travesty. Basically, I'll sum it up this way. These 11 bills are attempting to repeat 2011 all over again and make cannabis almost completely illegal again. So I just really encourage everyone to look into this. Montana needs help. They need everyone's help. There is a huge thing. Oh, here's the last thing. Montana only does their legislative session every 2 years, and they do it for 90 days because all of the senators and legislators are citizens, and they are required to have businesses and required to work normally. So they take 90 days off to go do that legislative session. So they do all of this really, really fast. And these bills, I don't know if it's coming from the hemp industry. I don't know if it's coming from big pharma or if it's coming from a combination of both. But there's clearly a big move to overturn what the citizens have repeatedly passed over and over again. And it's illegal, it's unfair, and it's sad.
Yeah, gotta follow the will of the people, man.
Mm-hmm. I'm with it. Any thoughts on this, Dr. T?
Yeah, I agree. It's sad, but it's happening nationally too. There's an overwhelming majority of people nationally who support cannabis bills, and our Congress continually ignores that. Is Montana the state of dictators? Don't follow the will of the people, but tell them how to behave. Or is the United States like that? I don't know.
Well, I would say in this case, Montana's the canary in the coal mine. Sorry, Dr. Mark.
I was just going to say, it sucks when they get it on the referendum. People vote for it, and they're like, yay, we legalized, and then they're socked back here. Like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
Yep. Very much so. Very much so. Well, man, Montana, they need some help. They need some resources. They need some activists to get behind this and to push it. And they need the companies to come out and actually spend some money to actually protect what they have going on, or else they are in very much a case of where they will lose it. That is definitely happening right now. And if Montana tumbles, it very well could be a roadmap for prohibitionists for them to see how they can repeal this in other states going forward. And so I do want to encourage people to put as much effort as they possibly can into protecting what has been established in the state of Montana. Because
call your boys up, Jason. These Republicans,
have a great weekend.
Have a great one, Dr. Mark. Take care, buddy.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Call your boys up, Jason.
Well, people got to pay for that, bro. People don't pay for it. It doesn't happen.
Oh no! So they got to pay for your services.
100%. My services aren't free.
How much did Donald Trump pay you to be parroting all his talking points?
I don't need to. That's not how this game works. That's cute though. That's cute though, Rico. I love how you tried to do that. But let me. I'm gonna roll into. I'm gonna roll into the final story of the day, you guys. Final story of this week. Hold on, Rico. You're gonna love this, okay? Because a DC AG shuts down weed shops across the city. You guys, that's right. The DC Attorney General has shut down several illegal weed shops across the city after discovering the products were being mixed with amphetamines and other narcotics, they say, you guys. That's right. At least 25 stores across the district have been closed since the start of the investigation, and 38 stores face other consequences. For too long, unlicensed cannabis stores have been illegally selling unregulated, untested products that put district residents' safety at risk, said Attorney General Schwalib. In a quote, they say, all so-called gifting shops were given ample time to apply for legal medical marijuana licenses, but many failed or refused to do so. OAG and ABCA and MPD have partnered to shut down these illegal retailers, demonstrating our collective commitment to ensuring that every store selling cannabis products in the district complies with the law and plays by the rules, they say. In 2023, the D.C. Council expanded the medical cannabis system and legalized gifting shops within the regulated market. And they added legislation then that gave investigators the power to go after businesses that failed to apply for medical licenses and continued to operate in the illegal gifting market.
Stephanie Litos, the senior counsel for Attorney General for Trials and Complex Litigation and one of the lead attorneys on this investigation, said that those 25 shops were given ample time to comply. In a quote, she says, shops chose not to do that and not to follow the rules. The time for shops to apply for a legal license has closed, and they were provided a year and a half. It ended on July of 2024, Litos said. Over a 6-month period, investigators bought and tested several products from these stores, and they often found the weed tested positive for other narcotics, including amphetamines and psilocybin, you guys. In some cases, investigators found weapons, cash, cocaine, and other illegal drugs while executing search warrants. And in a quote, they say, people are going into shops thinking they are buying cannabis, but instead they are buying and ingesting stuff that's just not cannabis, but laced and with other dangerous drugs, Litos said. After being forced to close, authorities say the owners of one unlicensed businesses twice broke into the shuttered location and changed the locks before being permanently shut down. And another closure led to the arrest of an owner and the recovery of over 35 pounds of cannabis flower, 22 pounds of THC edibles, 6 pounds of psilocybin mushrooms and edibles, and 2 pounds of cocaine, 2 pounds of methamphetamine, $6,817.72 in cash, and a semi-automatic handgun and 10 dogs from the premises. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. In a quote, they say, there are licensed medical marijuana shops they can legally shop at. If they go to an unlicensed, they are running a risk that what they are smoking is laced with other drugs they are not aware of, Litos said. Users can find a list of the legal cannabis shops on the District Alcoholic and Beverage Cannabis Administration website. And as of 2024, the District Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Administration, the ABCA, began issuing cease and desist orders to unlicensed businesses. And in September of 2024, within the Office of the Attorney General's Office, collaboration successfully closed the first shop that failed to comply, Supreme Terpene. And since then, the following shops have been closed or have come into compliance. And you can find the full list on our website at www.highat9news.com, you guys. Well, DC, big shifts in DC, you guys. They're no more gifting shops, they're saying, and they're trying to say that these guys are lacing their weed. They didn't mention fentanyl, but they mentioned pretty much every other drug, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Nothing new, man. Nothing new.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing new. So if y'all want to comment quick, because I got to get up out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Last day of the sales month. Got to make me some money.
Mm-hmm. You have any thoughts on this, Dr. T?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that people are lacing cannabis with other things.
I'm with you.
It doesn't happen in the illegal market.
Yep. Nick says, people don't give you extra drugs. And I agree with that, Nick. You know what I mean? People just don't do that. I'm with you on that.
It's a way to regulate with false information.
Yep.
Yeah, you bought $50 worth of weed and got $100 worth of extra drugs.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, buy some, get some sale. Yeah, fair enough, you guys. DC, they're about to have a crackdown going on, and I can't wait to follow along with this and watch all the crazy turbulence going on in DC. But go ahead.
They're crack down on what, man? They ain't cracking down on nothing in DC. DC is 100% open for business. The Epstein files is still elusive.
Maybe Mayor Adams will become the mayor of DC pretty soon.
Everything is going to according to plan. Yeah.
I love a good plan.
Big ups to Mayor Eric Adams. Yeah, man, he hop on the Amtrak, go down there, and he can run shit down there. Maybe it'll become a state. Maybe it'll get told. It's
definitely not going to become a state.
Keep things as they are.
That's cute.
Because. Nope, I'm not going to go there.
Yep.
Gotta go. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of High 9 News. You can catch us live weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to the super fans getting their comments posted live on the big screen. Have any today, Jason?
No super chats today, unfortunately. But
come on, y'all. It's payday
Monday.
too. Come on.
Maybe
Come on,
Monday. It's the first of the month tomorrow.
We gotta drop a meme coin. Maybe we can get some money. Big love to all the live audience, online supporters. Catch us across all media platforms. Tune in each day to the Headlines of Chaos, also known as developing cannabis industry. Vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing this much needed variety of perspective. Your respected opinions to the table. Our production team, Cloud Media Partners, all the sponsors keeping our lights on. AV struggles to a minimum. And as always, Cannabis and TVL, the reason why we show up to read these stories every single day. Thank you too. It has been Friday, February 28th, the last day, right before we march into March. The show is over. You've all been blessed with the top industry headlines. Hope it's enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until Monday. My name is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News, America's #1 daily cannabis news show. And today we're going to pop things out to Mr. Montana himself, Jesse Barney. What you got for these good people for the weekend, man?
Oh, my favorite new saying that my son gave me, which is honeybees don't waste their time trying to teach flies that honey is better than shit.
Fair.
That's complicated. Your son sounds like a genius.
Run it, Anthony.